So excited to have you on board here today, Rotana. We've been chatting a little bit over the last few days, and I am really excited about what you're doing and really just connected with the vision that you've got and the mission that you've got. So I was just super glad and super excited to have you on the podcast to be able to talk about some of this and share it with the wider community of people that we've got here. And just for people who are listening, I want to just fill in a brief bit of Rotana's story, and then I'll let him start talking and tell it himself. But Rotana was a myotherapist here in Australia, was a partner in a business for, a number of years, I think, and is now currently working in Cambodia, still actually running that business, actively involved every day in running that business that is located here in Australia. But he's also doing some amazing volunteer work as well in that country, in Cambodia. So I just wanted to get you on board, Rotana, to talk about both sides of that. And I thought we might start with your story. How did you start in the business of myotherapy, and what did that look like for you?
I've actually been doing myotherapy for about 12 or 13 years. So, that looks like, being really interested in the human body, starting with personal training and then moving into massage and then realizing, wow, this actually gets way, way cooler. And then going into myotherapy and continuing on through that. This has been a long adventure, but still an adventure I'm enjoying.
Fantastic. And your business is the Clinical Myotherapy Group?
Correct. Yep. So the Clinical Myotherapy Group, I started with my business partner, Susan, who we studied together at university. We started that coming up to 5 years, I think, 4 or 5 years. I'm still very active in the business. The strengths of myself and Susan is she's very good with people and I'm very good with computers. So for me, I'm able to organize all of the, everything that isn't required to be there treating patients. I do all the marketing, I do all the organization of reception, I do a lot of training videos. So I'm still very active in the business whilst being, 100 miles away.
Yeah, and I think that's super interesting. First off, the complementary skill sets you've got, I imagine that is really helpful in business. I know Leisha and myself too. We run our business together. And we do have, I would use the nice word, complementary skill sets, quite different focuses sometimes. And it's great if you look at it as a strength. And sometimes it can cause a little bit of friction as well. Like that's just honestly how business works, right? When you're in a partnership. And I'm sure you've probably worked through those challenges as well. But then moving into a whole other country, all of a sudden it becomes really clear to be able to define those two roles. It's like you're naturally the kind of computery, organized kind of thing. It was part of your skill set anyway, and you can literally do that from anywhere in the world. How often do you have to communicate with the rest of the team or with Susan?
Not very often, actually. I mean, the beauty of putting systems in place is as long as the systems are working right, you're not really required. So, God bless the internet. This would never have been possible, ever in the history of time. But yeah, it's fantastic. If I'm required, there's always WhatsApp and messages. But we may communicate every sort of 2 weeks. My staff check in every now and then. But when I moved away, we made sure that the systems were kind of in place. There were some teething processes when I first got here, but that's kind of just part of it. It's just a matter of working through those.
Yeah, for sure. And how long did you run the business before you moved over there? Because you did start and establish the business while you were both in the same place in Melbourne, right?
Yeah, so that would have been 3 years. So I've been here 1.5 years now. So 3 years in the business and on the business, and now 1.5 years on the business.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
And I love that concept. And I think there'll be people listening to this who will just be like mind blown. How can this even work? That's fantastic. And I really love it. But the reason I had you on the podcast, the other reason was to focus in on what you're actually doing in Cambodia. Because we touched base about this briefly, and then I was stalking you on your Facebook feed, and I'm like, you do some really cool stuff over there. You're volunteering. Some of the stuff that I saw is that you've been teaching anatomy to blind massage therapists, as well as training, not just in Cambodia, but India as well, doing some myotherapy work. Share a bit about what's actually happening over there for you.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely not the traditional day of a traditional myotherapist or therapist. A very good question. Sometimes I have to pinch myself and think, what am I doing? Where am I? I'm in Cambodia. Oh, what am I doing today? Oh, I'm actually in India. Oh my God. Um, so it's still a very big surprise for me. Um, Look, Cambodia was just happened by chance. You know, I'm actually of Cambodian background. My parents came to Australia as refugees. Um, I was asked to come here by a volunteer group, Hands on Health Australia, a long time ago. Yeah, so Hands on Health Australia, they had some programs, and they currently run some programs in India with a group. They were running a program here and in the Philippines, but that actually had stopped. So my role was to actually come over here and inspect that program and see what was going on. What I didn't plan for was, you know, I'm Cambodian by background, and you know, I'd been here before, but I never really had any connection. As soon as I walked into that classroom, you know, they were just hungry to learn, and I realized that, you know, I could actually give something back this time around. You know, I actually had an asset or skill that, you know, not only did I have, but that they actually really, really wanted, and that the community really, really needed. You know, to put it bluntly, you know, if we had all the massage therapists from Massage Champions come here, the level of healthcare would jump astronomically because there is no such thing. They have no access.
Yeah,
Um,
that's amazing. So when you're there teaching in a classroom, who are the people who are there? Are they massage therapists and myotherapists that have already been trained, or are these other healthcare professionals? What's it look like?
um, Pretty bleak, to be honest. Yeah. So the program ran for 3 years and unfortunately stopped about a year ago. So
Okay.
we did qualify about 100 biomechanical therapists, which is the term they use here for myotherapists. But unfortunately, that's sort of the end. I am continuing to support some of the graduates, so with ongoing training. In fact, one of the graduates is helping me with translation work and is helping me with my volunteer programs. So that's been sort of a nice full circle to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Because right now you're running your own volunteer program called The Remedy,
Yes.
which I had a look at the website, looks absolutely fantastic. Share a bit about what you do with The Remedy. What's that doing there in Cambodia?
Okay, so the remedy is a long time idea, but it's taken some time to fruition. Um, you know, for a lot of massage therapists or any kind of therapist, you know, we're kind of stuck in this idea of, you know, the white picket fence or version of that is, you know, you finish your course, you create your own business, you have 2.4 staff, and then, you know, the world is your oyster. That's you know,
Buy a minivan.
yeah, buy
That's,
a minivan,
yeah.
and that's your version of the white picket fence. Um, you know, part of what I wanted to create here is the ability for people to come out, be exposed to different things, be exposed to different cultures, you know, do some sightseeing, but also, you know, really use their skills in an area and country where, you know, it's sorely needed. You know, it's like you know, it's like giving back, but in that giving back, you get back, and it's a mutual beneficial. It's kind of exchange. You know, these people get a service that they would never ever have access to, and you were able to provide that, so give them the gift of that. You know, and for me to be able to facilitate that is really what it's about.
Yeah, real privilege. So you have volunteers from Australia who are trained as massage therapists or myotherapists or something similar,
Yeah.
and they come over to Cambodia. And then are you saying they do hands-on treatment with patients, or are they
No.
training other massage therapists?
So we actually part of it is we take them out for 5 days to the rural provinces where access to healthcare is not available. We work with a team of local doctors. So the doctors essentially help us by triaging and sending us patients, and then we work with them. So, you know, it's a health treatment camp. So, you know, you're actually using your skills in a practical sense in a very, very completely different clinical setting. It might be set up in a shed with lots of tables, you know, in a town. It might be, you know, you know, one of the parts of our volunteer group is we go and play wheelchair basketball with a wheelchair basketball sports group, you know, and that's community outreach. You know, they just love to be around people, and they just, you know, they love that people want to be involved with them. So,
Wow.
you know,
And that must be really a strong connection that you have with those people too. I can imagine it's a really moving experience to be there helping those people hands-on that aren't even receiving normal healthcare in some cases. You must have some amazing stories about that too. What's like, is there something you can share that's like this is a typical or even a super cool outcome that you've seen come from that?
yeah. mean, one of the most touching things that I've had, actually pun intended, was teaching anatomy to the blind massage therapists. That was really, really wonderful, because, for me, it's quite humbling, because, I'm teaching them anatomy and it seems really straightforward for me, but for them, they've never had access to this type of education. They don't have anybody supporting them. There is no sort of disability sort of fund here. They're all sort of left to their own devices. But what was so beautiful is that, they don't see it as a handicap. They kind of just have accepted it and have gotten on with their lives. So, I sort of sit there and I go, I don't know how I could do this. And I meet them and I'm like, oh my God, you guys are so strong. You guys are so amazing. Like, I took a picture because it was just like of it. And I just thought, oh my God, this is so amazing. This is how they see. I was teaching them some muscles and there was just like this frenzy of hands on, just all of these hands. And then I realized, oh my God, this is actually how they see. This is actually, everybody is looking right now. And I just thought, oh my God, This is a really special moment to be a part of.
Yeah, that is really special. And is that common? Like, is it common for blind people there to be massage therapists as a way of supporting themselves or something?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, very, very much so. We've partnered with Nika, who's Seeing Eye Centre. She's an amazing lady. She's been, I think, been involved for 23 years. We partnered with her because, unfortunately, there are people that do like to take advantage of blind people because there is no other access. Essentially, they're either, I don't really want to use the word burden, but they are sort of taken care of by their families, and so they do become a financial sort of commitment. We partnered with Nika because we discovered that the therapists are super happy, but also they're paid a fair wage. So we thought, okay, this is the kind of vision, this is the kind of person that we want to work with, and it's been fantastic. It's been lots and lots of fun, and they're learning lots, and they look forward to seeing us every week, as do we.
Yeah, great. You've used the word we a few times. Who's the we? Who's behind the remedy other than you, Rotana?
I'm a big team of one, but at the same time, I've got a lady here named Shrebe. Now, Shrebe was a lady that has come through the Hands-on Health Australia course. So she's a qualified biomechanical therapist. She speaks really good English, and I speak very poor Khmer, which is the language here. So we get along really well. So very complimentary. But she is also the one that's helped me connect to a few organisations here and really kickstart some of these initiatives. She connected me to the doctors that are helping us out with our province trips, and she also helped me get in touch with Nika, which is really, really helpful. It's really funny. The remedy is only about sort of 3 or 4 months old. And I really pushed hard with a few institutes back home, and so the future for us is actually quite bright. I've got students from my old university in Australia coming in December. I've actually got a phone call with a bunch of Dutch physiotherapists tomorrow, because they also want to come to Cambodia and go through the program. So really excited for myself, but really excited about the impact that's going to have for the Cambodians. A lot of what we're trying to do is, not only provide an experience for the people coming here, but make sure that, with the funds that is provided, is going to sort of long-term access to healthcare. So a lot of that is towards looking at creating access to education or health education, but also providing, a wage for local therapists here to work in the slums for us. So, whilst your time here is you're giving the gift of treatments to people who can't have access to that healthcare, that gift continues to keep giving by being able to provide wages for local therapists to work in slums.
Yeah, and I love the way those things connect. And I can imagine there's a lot of people in the industry who are really heart-centered. It's a very sort of touchy-feely connected industry. The people in massage, in myotherapy, are quite often very loving, very heart-centered. And I can really just see that having an experience where they get to go in and actually physically be with people who are so ready, who need that help and are so happy to have it, would be a really life-changing experience for some people who might want to take that step. Now, you've said you have volunteer groups over there. If someone's listening to this and they're like, I'm interested in this, this has struck a chord with me, or I even just want to know a little bit more, how would they do that, Rotana? Do you take just public groups, and how would they get in contact with you about that?
Absolutely. So on the website, we actually have intake for different times of the year to come. So, if there was a time of year that didn't suit, but you could put together a group of 5 to 10 therapists that are interested, we can organize that. So we facilitate that. So if anybody's interested, go to our website and check it out. It's the remedy.world. There's an itinerary there to tell you what we do. I've really curated a lot of these experiences. So even down to where we're eating goes to social enterprises. So, you can eat and still do good. So, the whole basis of our trip is to maximize your effect and impact here, and also give you an experience that's just that you're not going to get sitting in the clinic room.
Yeah. And being able to use the hands-on skills in such a powerful way, I think that's just an amazing connection, a really great place to see that fitting in Cambodia. Yeah, I absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing what you're doing. It's just so exciting, and I really love it. I myself, not as a therapist, I'm not a hands-on therapist, but I do a bit of volunteer work with child sponsorship organisation called Compassion and that kind of stuff. So I have been to Indonesia rather than Cambodia and seen a lot of the on-the-ground work that those guys do. And it was, for me personally too, an absolutely life-changing experience just to go and see the people that are there, how they live, and also the workers, how much the workers care about their local communities, and the sense of connectedness and of the community all looking after each other was really, really palpable and powerful, and totally changed the way I think about community. Coming back here, it was a real gift for me. So I really would encourage, if there's people listening to this and they're like, this sounds like something I'm interested in, I'm like, go for it. This is something that I'm totally behind. I reckon it sounds like a really great opportunity. And I just love the way that you're fitting it in with the other things that are happening there, the other healthcare systems and the other volunteer organisations as well. So we'll make sure there's a link in the show notes to your website. So if people are listening, they can go to theremedy.world and find out a little bit more. Hopefully some people will be able to sign up. One last question I've got for you, a practical one. If someone is listening and they're like, it's not the right time for me, I've got kids, whatever, I can't commit to coming, but sounds like you're doing great work and I just want to donate or something like that. Do you have, are you a charity that people can donate to? How does that work?
Unfortunately not. So Cambodia has cracked down on a lot of charities. So there were some people that had taken advantage of the fact that it was quite easy. So now I'm a social enterprise. So it's a business that runs for profit to put back into community. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
They're absolutely able to donate. Unfortunately, we're unable to give that as a tax deduction. But
sure. But people could donate if they wanted to anyway. It's just not tax deductible here in Australia. Yeah, sure. So we might put the details to that in the show notes as well. So if someone does just want to donate a little bit of money to you, because it sounds like you're doing great work, they can jump in and do that as well. It'd be really awesome. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today, Rotana. A little bit different, but really exciting to hear in a couple of different ways what it is you're doing that's a bit different.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. Hopefully it's receptive well.
I'm sure it will be. Thank you so much. We'll catch up soon.
All right. Thanks, Good.